Hey guys, this is Dwayne Cameron, and this is a shout out to Action Activate.
Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
Here we come, there they go. People rise, 'cause they know we're super soldiers. We got cool clothes. You real soon, you see our pose. Tension, energize. Let's go. Time to ride. Combine. Grease ties.
Hey, welcome back to Action Activate, the show that proves that toast is just burnt bread. And I'm Gazbot, and if I'm Gazbot, then with me as always...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just taking a look at the episodes of Operation Overdrive in the 4-disc set that I happen to have.
You love it so much, you just need to absorb it every way you possibly can. Is that what it is?
It was convenient that it was next to me and you played that intro. But
you know what? I wasn't even going to do that, but I have like the clips on the side here, and I'm like, oh, where's the intro? And I'm like, well, there's the clip of Big Dog. There's the intro. So like, it was just a time-saving device. We are here not to talk about we are here to talk about Action Activate. We're not here to talk about Operation Overdrive, nor The Unworthy as we did last week. We're back on track with Power Rangers Dino Fury, up on Netflix, all of season 1 right now. Episode 15, Storm Surge. Big Dog, what are your thoughts?
there's a reason that we pushed this review since episode 14, because I watched it about 2 weeks ago. And last week we reviewed Unworthy. If you haven't checked that out, please go watch that review. But I was like, yeah, we could, we're not in a rush to watch this thing. So yeah.
I watched it today. This seems to often happen where Big Dog watches it like a week before and I watch it like a minute before. And I still take notes.
I took notes this week, actually.
I think you kind of letting me know in no uncertain terms that you're not a big fan of this episode actually made it better for me because
Good.
My expectations were lowered.
Yep.
That being said, I don't think it was an amazing episode. Let me turn this off. I wish I could have that be on the same thing. That being said, I don't think it was an amazing episode. I don't know how bad do you think this episode was? I guess is the question.
We'll have to talk about it. My knee-jerk reaction, and this could change by the end, is I would give this a C-.
Oh, okay. I wasn't actually asking for a letter grade yet, but if we're gonna do that, my knee-jerk reaction is B-.
Wow. All right.
So let's get into it. I'll play
kind of before we dive directly into the story. First, kind of impressions after I watched it 1.5 times. If you guys have watched my Beast Morphers reviews with Gazbot, you know that Ravi and I had a very tumultuous relationship through
the exact word I was thinking of, tumultuous. Yes.
And he mostly redeemed himself by the end. I gave him credit where credit is due. I don't know who hates Ollie behind the scenes, but man, they are just making him the absolute worst.
He was my favorite early on, if you remember. And
he was funny, anymore. He was cool, he was promising, and then they went, we just don't want you to like him. He's just a garbage person.
This episode was really rough on Ollie. I mean, obviously it was one of those learn a lesson things, but he
didn't learn anything.
No, well, he did at the end.
No, he learned, wow, I got, and he didn't be like, oh man, it was really bad for me to be a horrible friend and colleague to Javi 5 different times.
You're wrong. It took him way too long to learn that lesson, but he did learn that lesson. Hold on. I was going to skip ahead for my evidence for the jury here. Hold on a sec.
Are you okay showing the gridded out stuff?
Yes, but it's just it's hard to change over because if I put
the no, I'm just asking because
there's a picture of Gamera. See, like this.
No, I know. I'm just based on our previous conversation. I want to make sure.
Okay. Just to address that, there have been a number of copyright warnings and 1 actual strike on our channel. So we're trying to figure out all of this should be fair use. It's critique and review. We're fundamentally altering it. No one would mistake it for the original. These are all the criteria that I understand that are legal. But nevertheless, it's YouTube. And so we've been trying to figure out what we can do to show our points and not whatever. But I think this is fine. But I wanted to get
You just have it muted.
It is muted. Oh, it was
Okay.
muted. It is muted.
I'm just making sure. I can't see because of the grid pattern. So,
well, you wouldn't be able to hear what the grid pattern doesn't.
oh, now I can hear it. Okay.
Every time I pause it or unpause it. Hold on a second. Did they reconcile before this? Oh, they reconciled before this. Okay. This is not going well. I'm not going to edit this out, though. Don't worry.
Oh, the bubblegum thing was interesting. Man,
Here we go.
This is a Tarantino review if we've ever had one.
Yeah, we're really okay. Let me
Words have no meaning.
Okay. Slyther played me, and worse, I let you down. Needed to focus on things that really matter, like my friends. And then he says, I appreciate you saying that. And then Ollie even says, you know what? Here, take my headphones. You're the musician. They're more important to you. I don't need them. Mine work fine. So how did he not learn a lesson?
I mean, all right. I'll give you a Ninja Steel point. He learned a lesson, but I still think it was just, I don't like the way they do lessons on this season.
That is fine. I don't argue with that. But he did, at the end, he said, I should pay attention to my friends. Technology is not important here. You take it. So that's the ending you want if that's the lesson, you know.
But here's the thing. I feel like that all was fine and dandy this episode, and then we're going to have another episode where Ollie gets into some hijinks because he loves technology.
Maybe so. And I'm not saying that it wasn't handled. I'm not saying it was handled great, and they've had a couple this season that weren't handled great. I was just taking issue with that. He never learned his lesson. He did learn his lesson, and I've proven that, and I got my Ninja Steel, so let's move on. It starts, though, with Ollie not bringing the samples for Javi's thing. And because he didn't, inexplicably...
We get to watch paint dry.
Yeah, and here's the thing. She's like, we're like they say, oh, we're literally watching paint dry. Now, I understand Ollie didn't bring the samples, so the story couldn't happen. They had to scramble to throw up another story. What is this story? What is the story? Is it literally like Jay Borg said, oh, let's find out how long it takes paint to dry, and then they started filming it? Because it seemed like the joke was, oh, we're literally watching paint dry. But it seems like that's what they were trying to do. And
yeah.
If that's the case, there's a whole room full of reporters and wannabe reporters and photographers. Not one of them could have been like, oh, I could tell a story, or I had an idea for a thing, or let me juggle, or like this would like, I don't get. It wasn't the worst joke. Like for Buzz Blast, Jay Borg stuff, this wasn't bad actually. But I just didn't get. I literally didn't get the joke.
I didn't like how they made like everything in this situation worked except for Jane. Jane was the piece that like made no sense, where she's like, oh man, we have nothing. I have to let Jay Borg run this story about paint drying. If she came in and this was happening of like, what happened to the story? I thought you had the samples, and like that's how they segued it. I think it would have been better than her being like, hey, so scrap your story about Punions. Great joke, by the way.
Yes.
I loved that one. And then she's like, check out this weird storm. And then I did like how she kind of clapped back at him of like,
yes,
I'm covering the weather. She's like, it's a crazy storm out of nowhere.
I absolutely agree. Like, why was he like, he's right to be upset with Ollie because Ollie messed him up, but she gave him a good story. It's like, go check out a hurricane. That's not the same as reporting normal everyday weather. Like, so she was right to say, and even Ollie said that. That's good face.
Hello. So, good stuff there. I like the callback here of like, wait a minute, what are we doing? Burp-a-derp. It was.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, of them bringing back the previous Ninja Steel episode.
I think that comes up. Yeah, I just saw there was like a soccer game going on in the background, and I didn't know if that was like a little Easter egg to something or if it was just a soccer game in the background.
I'm assuming it's an Easter egg, but you're talking about Dino Thunder, huh?
Maybe. I mean, that was the only thing I could think of, but I couldn't see any actors or anything, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what you were talking about, where they had the Ninja Steel Nexus Prism, and spoilers. This bummed me out because I was excited. I'm like, oh, they're gonna actually do something with that, like bring back other actors or bring Mick back or just have the Nexus Prism. Because like, okay, they can't get the actors, but that's just a special effect, you know?
Yeah.
And it ended up not being that, which is a nice misdirection. I like that it's a misdirection, but I wanted to see something with the Nexus Prism. It was kind of like an unfortunate misdirection. It reminds me of like, you ever, like when you're a kid, like someone tells you like, oh, we're going for a surprise. We're going to drive there. And you're thinking, oh man, we're going to like Six Flags or something. And then it's like, oh, ice cream. And it's like, well, ice cream's good, but you built it up. So I thought we were going to Six Flags. That's how I felt about this misdirection. Like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do? I'm like, oh, it's the Six Ranger. Oh, okay. Well, I do like the Six Ranger being introduced. I just thought that it was going to be a bigger deal than that. Like,
taking a pause. How did you like this Six Ranger introduction compared to other ones we've seen?
Definitely not on the top.
No.
Definitely not on the top. I'm trying to think. Okay, who was the Six Ranger last season? Well, it was Steel and Nate kind of at the same time. That was a much better introduction.
Yep, because it was a slow burn.
Yeah, and it was fun when they both like sort of fighting and Steel had all his one-liners and stuff. And they were like prisoners that escaped as very Iron Man. Season before was Ninja Steel. That one I didn't love either, to be honest.
It felt less rushed than this one, though.
It felt less rushed, and they did build it like the Secret Third. That I think suffered from the fact that even though I didn't watch Ninja the season, I had seen clips of the cowboy style Ranger that I loved how cheesy he was and how ridiculous, and so I was disappointed that he was kind of just a regular guy. But that was my issue. And before that was Dino Charge, which is funny because this reveal reminded me of Dino Charge when we got Sir Ivan. It wasn't exactly the same, but it was like this sort of hidden box thing inside of Fury, like, and then it pulled it out and it was like, oh, it's a Ranger. That still had a better thing because they thought it was gonna be the father. But it was a similar misdirection with a Ranger out of where you wouldn't think it would come from.
Yeah.
But yes, it was done way better. Yeah. So, okay. So those are all better. And what was before that?
Super Mega Force.
I liked Orion's introduction better as like a refugee from a planet.
Robo Knight, enough said.
Robo Knight, yeah.
Antonio,
okay.
Enough said.
Oh boy! So in everything since Neo Saban to now, it's the worst one out of those, in my opinion.
And that's not even going deeper than that. Which we may have figured out this is low key like the worst one.
I haven't seen the introduction of Mercury Ranger or whoever's in Mystic Force.
You mean Mercury Ranger in this series?
Yeah, I do.
Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
Here's the thing. We are really jumping around, but I guess, whatever. That's fine. The misdirection was sort of almost hurt it because of how cool the other choice would have been in tying together like, different universes and plot lines and things. The suit is okay.
I think it's cool.
I wish it was shiny or gold just because it's gold.
Always wish the gold and silver are shinier.
Yes.
That's a critique. So just for future reference, for however many seasons we watch, even Mercury, he'll probably be like, it could be a little bit shinier.
But here's the thing. There's gold and then there's chrome gold. And then there's sort of like crayon gold. And I feel like this is crayon gold. Like it's not chrome, which is my favorite, but it's not even shiny. It's just sort of like the color gold that you'd get out of like, I don't know. It's just very matte and not very metallic. And it's almost more of an orange sort of. And that is a personal taste thing. But what I was hoping, and I kind of knew what he looked like, but I deliberately wasn't trying to like pay attention to this stuff too much. But for some reason in my head, and again, this is my own problem, I thought it'd be shiny. And I'm like, oh, because it's mixed with blue, the blue will be shiny too. Kind of like Antonio from Samurai, like the blue.
It all comes back to him.
But I thought like, oh, blue and gold, they'll both be kind of shiny. It's going to be awesome. So that was a little disappointing. It was rushed. It was kind of out of nowhere. He came in and he did his usual, hey, I'm tougher than everybody thing, which was fine. I think they blew through like all of his cool, like he put on his super armor the first time to fight henchmen. Like it was like, what? Not even the main villain. Like, and then he's like, oh, here's all my super attacks. And like, probably he'll get more, but it just seemed like, he came in strong normally and kicked the villain Nightmare or whatever. Tide Mare. What was it? Hold on. It was
some weird fish face monster.
Tide Mare. It was Tide Mare because like Nightmare because he's a seahorse. I wrote Seahorse early on, and then later they named him whatever. Anyway,
what
whatever.
did you think of his design, by the way?
The
monster.
kaiju monster. I did not like it.
I didn't either. I loved the powers.
Yes,
I hated the design.
The special effects on the water powers worked really well. I liked the versatility. Made me think of like Last Avatar or Naruto or something, where it's like, well, I have water, but that's a versatile thing. You could do all Hydro Man. It's just like that was great. I liked the monster. His design I didn't love, but I wonder if it's like a Japanese thing because he had this weird sort of fish flapped over. Like it was like, is something from folklore or is this
Very
like
jarring looking.
Yeah, it was not appealing, and a lot of monsters aren't appealing, but they're like fun, ugly monsters or horrific things or a weird bee. It just was like I wouldn't want a figure of that, you know.
Yeah,
but
same.
I do think it was a good villain, despite not liking its look. But so he came in, knocked him out of the way with one normal punch, and then used like a million power-ups to defeat the henchman. Which again, I understand they want to bring him in and have him be cool, but it just seemed weirdly unnecessary. Then he did fight the main guy, and I liked that the fire was defeated earlier by water, which makes sense. And then
Yes, I was gonna say
that very Pokemon. I like that, and I like the special effects for the lightning, the kind of crackling all over. But a lot of it felt, and this is kind of like what I say about the keys. A lot of it felt unearned. Like I understand he's coming as a powerful guy, but like I don't know. It's just sort of like that's cool, but do we care yet? I don't know. And I hesitate to say that next thing I'm going to say. You know what? Why don't you say something, and then maybe I'll say it.
The thing that actually, this is so weird that like this is the tone that we have for this season as viewers of like I was so happy that this monster defeated all of the 5 Rangers with their MacGuffin armor because I was like, yes,
yeah,
it's not just MacGuffining every scene it's in. It's like
true.
doing something. But one thing I did notice. They were having a hard time with this monster. They had their swords. They even had their daggers, and it didn't work. So what happened? We had to bring in the Gold Ranger because he has a gun. And if there's one thing we learned in Beast Morphers, they win all fights.
Gun wins all fights. Yeah, I thought that exact same thing, and I loved it. But I'm like, that's because of us and the show we have. That's not a thing. That's not like a real thing. Like, oh, maybe it is. I don't know. But we try really hard not to be too negative as much as like because there's all these factors involved. I mean, we're coming off as very negative, but like I try not to get personal and point at certain actors or writers because it's all this big collaborative thing. You don't know what's going on. And hey, I just tried out for The Unworthy and didn't get it. So clearly I don't, I'm not a great actor either. So, spoiler alert, neither did the big dog.
I was going to say, I can't believe you tried out and didn't get it. God, what a loser.
But so did like 200 other people, whatever. But the point
Whoa. 300 other people, all right?
Okay.
There was stiff competition here. It wasn't just 200.
I forget the name of it. Was it Jeff something who actually got NinjaCon?
I'll look it up.
I don't know. Well, anyway, go check it out. They did a great job. It's clear why I didn't get it.
Check out on Unworthy's channel because I don't want to look right now.
They have it on Instagram, if nothing else. But so all that being said, I don't know how to say this without it coming off as not nice, but the voice coming from this Ranger, I did not like. I have not seen the act. I mean, I think I've seen a picture of the actor somewhere. Have not seen him act in anything. I don't know how good an actor he is. This is just the suit actor and him dubbing over it. Maybe this is the first thing he recorded. Maybe it was a bad day. Maybe there was bad direction. I don't know. But he came off as like bored. And it just didn't seem exciting. It just and maybe this is going to make sense when we see the character more. Maybe he's like, oh, I'm so over fighting, and I'm Zato, because we see there's something with him and Zato. So maybe he's like, oh, I guess I got to save this jerk, and my heart's not really in it. And if that's the case, great, kudos. That's how it came across. But it did come across as very like not interested, not energetic, not like very half-hearted. And so I'm not judging it yet. But if it turns out to be not the character that this is, then it's weird.
Yeah. Like I said, it was hard to pick up on something like that just because it was so rushed.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing that I also didn't like, and like you said, trying to be as nice as we can, is like, we just rattled off seasons that have been argued that aren't great.
Right.
And we remember the 6th Ranger coming in, being this new ally, so strong. They just get a spotlight on them in such a cool way that like this one was like, you gave him a minute and a half and he went through 4 powers and destroyed everybody. And then he disappeared and said, what up, Zato? And bounced. Like that was it.
I like that they set up something between him and Zato. I mean, again, it was very rushed.
That makes perfect sense.
But I liked that. And I like that they cast Zato as maybe in the wrong. I don't want to say a bad guy, but like in the wrong, like, oh, what? And Zato's like, I don't want to talk about, and then that it was all a little bit rushed. Just this whole episode was weird. I would say this whole episode was rushed, but that's not true. The whole 6th Ranger part of the episode was rushed.
Correct.
The rest of it felt like a regular episode, and they could have had more time if they wanted. It almost, you know what it feels like? It feels like there should have been a quick, whoa, is that the Gold Ranger at the very end? And that's it, or more. And they kind of did more than a teaser, but not enough to be like a full episode. It just felt weird.
I feel like this was a two-parter that relied really heavily on civilian Sentai footage, and they mashed those 2 episodes into this one, and we had way too much time. That is a weird costume. And they spent all this time of like, oh, let's all hate Ollie for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a weird costume. He also says Masa Blaster or Mosa Blaster. I don't know what that is. Do you? Maybe it's from the Sentai?
I think his
Is that his
dinosaur is like a Monsasaurus or something, or Masa something. So it's just like Tyranno, like it's that,
right? Okay,
with this dinosaur.
I guess I didn't know. Now, all that being said, there's some cool fight footage here. I'm not saying it's not cool. It just seems like, and even the henchmen are doing cool stuff. Like they're throwing spears, they're doing formations. It's a really cool scene, but I feel like it just didn't land. And the effects here, the lightning effects, the electricity effects, and the water effects both done really well. I do like his powered up armor mode.
Yeah,
I just
same.
feel like they should have saved that for another fight.
It's been 30 seconds. We just met you.
And that might be Sentai footage, but you know what? You could wait. You could save it. They put stuff out of order all the time. Make this be episode 3 of the Gold Ranger. It doesn't have to be this episode.
But also, like, a thing I thought of.
Look at the closed caption. He blubbers.
A thing I thought of, and I'm struggling to think of like a prime example, but in like comics or video games or certain TV shows, we've seen many times, especially in superhero ones, there will be a new hero or a new situation, and then somebody comes in out of no. Matrix is a prime example. We have Neo, and then we have Trinity and Morpheus, and they do a bunch of stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, we're like level 100, dude. What up? And then you don't see them for a while, and that mystery of like, whoa, who is this character that I feel like I should know more about, and like, how do they deal with this so quickly? And they could have done this here, and I think that's what they might have been going for, but it just didn't land.
Yeah. They were doing too much or not. They were doing too much or not enough. Again, if they could have made it more of a mystery or less of a mystery, it got weird. It should have been better. Well, this is, and here's the thing, like the reason I'm going like B- instead of, would you say C-?
Yes.
Is like, it's an okay episode. It's not the best. And the Gold Ranger stuff that was not handled as well as I'd like. But it's like, well, it's always exciting to see a 6 Ranger show up, and they laid the groundwork for this other like thing going to happen. So like, it was a very average episode that had things that interested me for the future. So I raised it up to a B-. If it was,
to me, the reason mine is a C- is when we brought up every other season and how those Rangers were introduced, we remember those episodes distinctly.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you, even going back, like Titanium Ranger, one of the best 6 Ranger intros. Even in Lost Galaxy, when we see Magna Defender.
Oh, yeah, that was
like,
great.
Like, see, that's what I'm talking about. Zane, when he finally comes back in space. Like, all of these things.
Well, this could be the case, both with what I said about the voice acting and with his introduction. Maybe it's all going to be on the similar to the Zed episode. I'm saying, like, if this is set up for cool stuff later, awesome. If this is like that's all it was, then it's like, that was kind of wasted. Another reason this went up a little bit, I realized something because we're jumping around.
Oh, okay.
This.
Yes.
Now, my one complaint about this, I'll get out of the way first. This guy showed up. This is Campbell Cooley, the voice of Slither, and he's playing a human disguise of Slither, which is brilliant. Now, Campbell Cooley is a friend of the show, but even if he wasn't, I love when voice actors play themselves. If you watch the Orville, there was an episode where Norm Macdonald played a human version of the character he does the voice of, and the same thing with the robot Isaac. I love when they do stuff like that.
Yep.
So I'm a big fan. I also like that he looks like Scott Zillner from Power Morphicon.
Yep. Apparently that was intentional.
Was it intentional? I thought that I saw them say that, but I thought that was a joke.
I took it as fact, but who knows? I mean, it is Power Rangers. Like,
yeah, it's possible. But and Campbell does a great job. Everything, and I believe Jane and Jay Borg would be like, oh, a free laptop giveaway. We need content. Sure.
Yep.
The bubblegum guessing, that's all fine. My only issue with this actually is when people do this kind of stuff, it's an advertisement. I'm going to give away this computer to advertise my computer store. I'm going to give away the computer with bubble gum because I have a candy store. I have a real estate agency, anything. And he never is advertising anything. It's just like if I showed up to my local news station, it's like, hey, if somebody could grab this banana from my hand, then they get $500. And they like, that's it. What?
The way I perceived this was he was implying that he works for that like computer company, but it's one of those things by him not saying anything, everybody kind of either didn't ask or made their own backstory for it. And he goes, sure, if that's what gets me in the door, absolutely. Like he said only so much and they accepted it at face value. And he's like, great, cool.
That's probably true. And they are desperate for content if they're showing people painting. And I like the way they both kind of leaned out right here, like together. I thought that was a fun little.
Yeah, Campbell did great in this scene, like you said. All personal bias aside, this was one of the highlights of the episode. But again, I liked him as Mr. Wiz so much. We got him for 15 seconds.
Yeah, I would have liked if they brought this character back a few times and then revealed it was Slither all along. Like maybe the laptop ended up being a trick, but they thought somebody hacked it. And he's like, you didn't figure it out. Would have been better if he didn't say that. And then, a week or two later, hey, Mr. Wiz is back with a new thing. And and then at some point they're like, wait a minute, I think it's Mr. Wiz, Well,
also, we already had this plot point of them being skeptical of somebody who, pretended like they knew them. If you have Slither come back learning from his mistakes and being like, I'm completely random and I'm still duping you, it would make Slither an even better character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you get stuff other than looking at paint dry. Like
yeah, it was a fun bit of business. And it's a shame that, well, again, if this is the end of it, it's unfortunate. We got our little piece, but it would be great if they had Campbell come back multiple times, like you said, and maybe not be Mr. Wiz, and always have like, oh, this time I've got like a white, goatee and like a crazy propeller hat and like just whatever stupid costume, and it was always,
and that's how we know it's Slither.
Yeah, but like they don't, or whatever, but I did give points for that, and I can't be completely unbiased because I was happy to see Campbell, but in honesty, I do love when I see voice actors get to put their face out as like the alternate. Same thing if like somebody's in makeup and it's like, oh, in this alternate dimension, they don't have like some other episode of Star Trek. I forget what it was, but some character that's always in makeup, they went to this other weird dimension and then they didn't have their makeup and they were a human version of themselves. I'm like, that's cool because the actor got to look,
So I just thought of something, and once again,
Discovery. It was Discovery. Sorry, go ahead.
Full transparency. Gaz and I don't have all the answers, and this is just our opinions, and I'm not telling people how to do their jobs differently. But I feel like it would have made more sense with how Ollie is just like constantly screwing people over, specifically Javi all episode. If we had those bits where it's like he wins the computer, he gets it from Mr. Wiz. It's like, oh yeah, like my friend's all, bummed about this, but like, look at this new computer. And then like Mr. Wiz eggs him on. And then later we see like the betrayal of like, wait, that was Mr. Wiz and he did the malware. And it was like, ha ha ha, you're duped again. And I am the best. And it's like, just little things like that, as opposed to us being like, oh, so right out of the gates, you pissed everybody off. Okay. And then, there's another technology thing and you pissed everybody off and you called your mom dumb for using an old broken computer and money has no meaning to you. And okay, just like compounding him being lame. And then at the end, it's just like, oh, I learned my lesson, as opposed to like I said, right here, Javi can leave frustrated. The two of them could have more moment. We get more Mr. Wiz. Like, we don't need to see Javi disappointed all episode. It just makes me not like Ollie at all.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a similar complaint as with the Gold Ranger in that it's weird. Let the story breathe, give it some more space. Yeah, like do more with it. But it's like they hang on stuff that's less interesting, and then speed past stuff that's more interesting. And when it comes to Sentai footage fight stuff, I understand. But when it's literally just American actors, like they don't always focus on the right thing.
They're all a buzz blast. Like have somebody you already have on set do more acting with a main actor that makes the story better. See, look, like if this is the only episode we got and I haven't been spoiled if this is the only one, I'm going to be a little upset.
I will say this. and nostalgia filters, like because we always talk about like Bulk and Skull and the comedy from the Mighty Morphin era and stuff like that. And some of that was terrible too, I'm sure, but it's just, it was 20, 30 years ago, A, and B, nostalgia. And it was like back, when you're the first, you get away with more. So like, but the way he's dressed and act and this whole character reminds me of that era of like over the top comedy in a good way. You know what I mean?
Same.
It's supposed to be over the top, and it I don't know. It's just funny. I don't know. That's funny to me. Like
the Slither is a showman, and like that is his whole thing is being over the top, and that is his charm.
Yeah,
that character can do that.
Yes.
When you have Jane doing that out of nowhere, and then 2 seconds
Jane
later,
is a very inconsistent character.
That's what I'm saying.
She is like all business one day, and then jokes the next day, and then everybody's friend the next day, and
then she is a furnace and ice storm, and like that's what I'm saying. Like, don't do it there. You found your out. Like when they find their lane, they don't stay in it.
Well, and that's not the actress's fault, I'm sure.
No, and that's not what I'm saying.
No, but I'm saying like they're not giving her a steady lane. It's weird. Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is like there's so many things the show does right, but it doesn't do it right enough where it's like, hey, like this tastes really good. Don't change the recipe. Oh, hey, I totally changed the recipe. It's like, why? That was really good. Like, just do that again.
I honestly, I right now, oh, that's weird. This little background area right here, you see, I can't point to it. To the left of Zato, under the view screen, it looks like a weird little face come like,
oh yeah, like a little, yep.
I should like this season more than Beast Morphers, and right now I do not.
Same.
And granted, Beast Morphers got way better in the second season, so that could happen here. But I like the designs. I like the fact they got a dinosaur they're hanging out with. I like the suits. I like almost everything about it, visually, conceptually, I like better. I did like Grid Battle Force just as much, but like on paper, just looking at the elements, I like this show better. But in practice, it's not delivering or succeeding the same way for some reason.
It's really frustrating, like I said, where we try not to be overly negative, and sometimes we are, because like we've seen them like have that potential of doing things so right, and then for whatever reason decide to do some random thing, and it's like, why though?
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating, like you said. And we did the same thing with Beast Morphers. Thankfully, Beast Morphers season 2 picked up and found its stride outside of Tommy Tuba episode. But
I'm hoping that that's what happens with this one, because it isn't terrible. It isn't terrible. There are much worse seasons, but part of it is the promise. Part of it is, like I said, the pieces are so good. The setup is so good. And the fact that it was the first full Hasbro season, I think we all expected something very good or something very different. And if it's not different, it's not that different. It's kind of more of the same, but not done extremely well. So it's sort of like, oh, well,
I know it also does. I know it also does too. It just dawned on me.
Go ahead.
In the back of my head, and you might be doing this as well, we're both like, if this is the last Hasbro season, I'm going to be upset that it's not good. I don't want to end on a sour note.
I think we've said this. If it doesn't get better, and there, I've heard rumors, I try not to pay attention, but I've heard rumors of like crazy stuff happening later, especially in season 2, that's going to blow our minds. And like, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but it is a thing where if Beast Morphers was the end, and I don't want it to be, I don't want this to be the end, but if Beast Morphers was the end, that would have been a great season to end on, with the way that season ended.
Yep.
And to end on a mediocre season, which is right now about where we are, would just be a disappointment. I mean, kind of similar to back when RPM was going to be the last season, or In Space were going to be the last season.
I was going to say the exact
great
same
seasons
thing
to end on. And I hope that this is a case where like, oh, well, we thought it was going to be over, but then it kept going, and that's great. But like, we've had 2 potential endings that would have been good, and I would hate it if the final ending wasn't like that.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic, but when this is the Gold Ranger episode, I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I guess he's a little shiny. He's a little shiny.
It's more the helmet, yeah.
Yeah, the helmet isn't as shiny as the suit. You're right. That's
you know what it is? I think also the Sentai footage is a lot more dull.
Well, usually the stunt suit is different than the hero shots, but I don't I'm like, I don't remember seeing a hero shot where it's shinier. Because even like with the other Rangers we're talking about, like Antonio and stuff, like he definitely, depending on the scene, was shinier or less shiny.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, see right here? That
Oh,
doesn't even look
super
gold.
matted. Yeah.
It looks yellow.
Yeah.
So let me go back. But like here, so maybe that's an American versus Japanese. See there, it's still not shiny like I like it, but it looks gold.
But it looks better. Yeah, maybe it is American versus Japanese.
And here, I mean, that looks yellow or orange. And even the parts up here, yeah, it's just, it looks like the yellow and blue Ranger. It doesn't look like the gold Ranger.
To see. But
and then here, look, what? Yeah, it's very inconsistent. Lighting might have something to do with it. Sentai versus not Sentai might have something to do with it. Oh, okay. This is the most interesting part of the episode to me.
Yes.
Because Zato goes, who's going for it? One of the girls. I forget which one. Okay. She was going for it, and then Zato like swoops in and grabs it before her, like unnecessarily. And there was the weirdness of like, oh, is that like when he was like, who's this person coming out? Is it that person? And they're like, who is he? Like, I don't know. And then there's like, oh, hey, Zato. And like, so all that sets something up. But that in and of itself is like, well, it's his brother. It's somebody he doesn't like. He's not sure how they're alive. There's like a lot of reasons why he could be saying that. They didn't necessarily put any suspicion on him.
Yeah.
When he took the sporks real quick, it's like, whoa, what? Why did he do that? Why did he do that? Even if he's the good guy in this situation, why did he do that? That is the question.
I think he just wants to leave like fast.
She could have got it. No, I hope not, because to me, that was, we met the Sixth Ranger. We saw, Slither as a human. We saw all this other stuff going on. The Nexus Prism, all this stuff happened. This to me was the question. This was the thing that I've been thinking about since I watched it, an hour and a half ago. Like why did he feel the need to take that first? And what is that going to mean going forward? Is he hoarding power? Does he not trust people? Did the Gold Ranger betray him? Did he betray the Gold Ranger? What's going on? Like I hope what I'm thinking is accurate. Not that I know what it is, but that this is hyper important and not just him trying to get out of there real quick. Cause that would be terrible. I
think it's more two than one.
You think it's just, he wanted to get out of there?
Yep.
I really hope you're wrong. Not just because I want to be right and get the Ninja Steel point, but it just felt like a good moment. It felt like a good writing moment, which is like foreshadowing, but that isn't super clearly foreshadowing, except that I happen to be like hyper focused on it. I don't know. I hope I'm right.
One person we didn't mention at all was Ollie's mom. She's awesome.
Oh yeah, she is cool. Good parent. Nothing to say beyond yes, good. I agree.
Yeah, and she like semi helped them, if I remember correctly. Didn't she? She stumbled upon Slither and Mucus, and then
she saw it happen. Okay, they pulled up the Gold Ranger and they like ran away because there was a Gold Ranger. And but then she's like, "Oh, you'll never believe what I saw. Derp here it was." And they're like, "Oh, I have to pretend to not know what you're gonna say." So
I've
said it. Yeah,
go for it.
She helped them by finding the item.
Yeah.
It got hijacked, but that wasn't her fault. That was Ollie's fault. So she did find it. So that's how she helped.
Going forward, I really hope they kind of stop with the whole has to be super duper secret identity thing.
Yes.
Like it's just so it's not even like an inconvenience. It's just irritating to see. Because because they just morph out of nowhere.
Well, it's also when the Zordon era, it made sense. Certain times it makes sense. With Samurai, it made sense because there's this like secret samurai thing and there's a secret invasion. But like Grid Battle Force, I guess the idea is to protect your loved ones. Like, so it makes sense, like for the world at large to not know your Power Ranger, but to not tell you like your mom, like so that she could also, if she's in danger, she like you're essentially soldiers, It's just weird. And this one too, it's like I don't remember why they said they couldn't tell. Did they even explain it? I don't remember.
No, I think it was like a Zato rule.
Yeah, but again, not going on TV and being like, "Look at me, I'm the Green Ranger," but like telling your mom or dad who you keep coming into conflict with over missions and things
I'm hoping by the end of this season, the two parents that we've seen, we get to tell, and maybe even Jane and Jayborg. So it's like, hey, you guys have actually been really helpful in the grand scheme. You would be more helpful if you got to tell us instead of like going through like a middleman or not knowing who to call when it's like, hey, there's danger.
Yes. All that being said, I was about to say, like, we've kind of said everything, But there was another Buzz Blast scene, and we
was.
haven't seen Jane and Jay Borg for a couple episodes. And despite me not really loving the paint drying joke, overall I thought Buzz Blast, Jane, and Jay Borg were handled really well this episode.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Yep.
We get to the end, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this bubble blowing contest because we have the bubble gun." Even that doesn't bother me because again, it's content, and I've seen stupid stuff like this on YouTube. It's realistic. I do think it's weird that the people in the contest don't seem to know how to blow. Wait, whoa! Did you see that?
Which one?
Hold on, I didn't see that before. I'm gonna say it's weird how the people didn't seem to know how to blow bubbles. Like this guy's in the contest, and okay, fine, whatever. Now watch. I didn't notice this the first time. She pops. Look how big it is, right? And then it's deflated. Now watch. In a second, she'll have a huge bubble in her mouth. Right there. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Bad
Editing
editing.
continuity error, but the acting is all going like the acting is in the right place. So like, yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird.
And then
It was huge too.
you knew this was coming.
Yeah. And now
That was a legitimate one.
That was a legitimate good bubble. Yeah. And it popped.
And I think she is surprised of like, wow.
Yeah. Now here's the physics. Well, there's a lot of physics to find, but now watch. She trips a little bit and she spills some of the balls. But watch how many kind of come out. It's like 3. Oops. Okay, there they go. They all went up and went down already. The action is over. Now, good face acting here by Jay Borg, but also that's a great face by Jay Borg. But also look at the camera woman. Now wait for it. Not yet. Well, first of all, she's like, wow, like as though money's in the air. But watch when she looks at Jay Borg. I don't know. I really liked that. Now, all of the few gumballs went up and down already. They're already on the floor. Where are these gumballs coming from? Huh? Where are they coming from? Tell me. Tell me.
I already told you going into the scene, I knew we would be upset.
Spit it out and then huge bubble. I don't even have a problem with her blowing the world's biggest bubble. She's an android. She's got like a fan or something. That part of it, even up to like this point, doesn't really bother me. Now that it looks like a CGI piece of garbage, it doesn't even look like a bubble anymore, that bothers me. But you can see how thin that is, right? Where you could see through it. And then, okay, you can totally see it. Then it pops, bad CGI. And now they're wrapped up in like what's partially CGI and partially, I guess, pink rubber or whatever. I don't know. It's not the worst joke we've seen, but it really, I don't know, it bothers me. It bothers me that it was so translucent and now it's like opaque.
So you're saying they could have handled this situation differently, saved time and effort on bad CGI, and still gotten everybody to go, ha, 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 and then credits.
Yeah, credits. I'm going to turn this off. Yeah, it wasn't the worst of that sort of comedic things we've seen, but
I think the furnace
Furnace might
ice
have been the
storm was the worst.
that probably was the worst. Yeah, I don't know. This episode should have been much better. It had elements that were very exciting and good, but they just weren't put together in the right way for some reason. I don't know.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I'm kind of excited for the next episode because we have some setup stuff here. We have the Zed setup, hopefully. And it seems like there's been a bunch of episodes that are setting things up. And so I'm like, okay, well, it's going to start paying off. But my worry is that we're going to get a bunch of filler episodes until the last like 3 episodes. And then hopefully things will pay off. But like,
do you remember how many episodes are for season 1?
I just had it open. It wasn't many. It was like less than 20. I was actually shocked.
Okay.
Let me see. I'd have to open it up again, but it was a small amount because one of them is even a Christmas special. Maybe hold on. Talk about something. I'll look it up.
Okay, I was about to look it up and say the same thing to you. So, if it's only 19, then we have what, 4 left, 3 left?
It is 22 episodes,
Okay.
one of which is the Christmas episode. We already
at our pace, we might actually get it like right on time.
It's 20 episodes, regular episodes, and then 2 holiday specials. We've already watched the Halloween special.
Okay.
So that was episode 15. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regular episodes, and then the Christmas special. And we might actually watch the Christmas special on proper time.
Yeah, I'm down with our pace to, get through these episodes at whatever pace we're at. And
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you know the name of the Sixth Ranger, the civilian name?
I forget. I think
it
the
like
actor's name is
Aeon?
like Jordan.
No. I mean the character name.
No, I know. I don't remember.
I think it's Aeon or something like that. And the reason I didn't know that, but the reason that because when I was looking at the list, I shouldn't have, but I read the description of the next episode. And it said that character's name. I'm like, who is that? I'm like, oh, that must be the real name of the Sixth Ranger. Let me just say that I, based on that description, am not excited for the next episode.
Well, since we're there, read it to me. Or
Oh,
us.
I already closed it. Okay. You speculate what you think it's going to be about, knowing that it involves him.
Aeon is just hanging out with everybody and everything's hunky-dory and he's assimilated to regular life.
It doesn't literally say that, but reading between the lines is kind of it says so bad. Aeon is given free ice cream as thanks for a heroic act, and the perks go to his head. When his Zord is captured, Aeon learns what it means to be a real hero. So it seems like, oh, we're going to make him a jerk, and then he's going to learn a lesson. But also, I guess, like you said, he's already integrated into the team by next episode, or maybe he has a solo adventure. I don't know. It just doesn't sound like the high drama that I wanted between him and Zato, or I don't feel very confident that the next episode is going to be very good.
I might watch it tonight just so I know.
Free ice cream.
But this is what I'm talking about, man. You just showed us a really cool episode with Zed that had great callbacks, and then you go back even further, you integrated Ninja Steel of all seasons, and I'm like, all right, I'm in. And then you're like, so we got the Sixth Ranger, and 3 minutes into him being on screen, he earned some ice cream for helping somebody out. Good deed alert. Ding, ding, ding.
Maybe we'll be wrong. Maybe we'll be wrong.
You're so hopeful, and I'm so defeated.
I'm not. I'm the one who was unhappy about the description I just read.
This is looking better and better right now.
Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
Might have to take a breather and watch a couple of these bad boys humble myself.
I will say though, the fact that there's only 5 episodes left, again, not including the Christmas episode, worries me more than because I was thinking oh, we've got 10, 15 episodes, but no, we don't. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Well, next week we'll find out if the ice cream episode is good. Until then, I have been Gazbot.
I continue to be the big dog. And to the power.
No defender? It kind of comes and goes, doesn't it?
I'm not defending anything today. If anything, I'm attacking. I am the big dog attacker today.
I think I've accidentally had the banner off most of this episode.
Whatever.
That was just for emphasis. All right, let's do end credits. Oh, to the power. Yes, to the power. To the power.
Ha! You know what these credits and this episode had in common?
What?
They were both rushed.
Huh.
Because I'm pretty sure we were I think we're losing daylight and we're hungry.
Yeah. It's funny when I think about how much footage we shot that day and how little of it ended up getting used. Yeah, go ahead.
I remember the 90s sitcom intros we did at the park.
Oh
that went horribly wrong. And you are not allowed to use any of those unless I look at them first.
You just reminded me that that would be a great episode if we just watched the footage we shot and made fun of it and commented on it.
Oh no, some of that I don't want to see the light of day, but others I'm okay with.
It's been a couple of years now, so isn't it funny now?
No, some of it, even at the time I did it, and then I'm like, please delete this. This is really bad.
I was also remembering how because also the idea was that I was going to put all kinds of special effects in them, and there was going to be this opening credit, and that never happened. So there's scenes of us pretending to shoot stuff, and there's scenes of us standing in the middle of my residential area, doing morphs, and I dropped my morpher 1,000 times.
Oh, dude! Oh,
damaged. Yeah.
Yeah, he had this artisan.
You know what? We'll make an episode about it. We'll make an episode about it.
All right, we'll get there.
All right, bye, everybody.